On February 20th, 2024, a group of teenagers riding four-wheelers made a gruesome discovery alongside St. Francis County Road 731 in Arkansas. They found the naked, decomposed body of 42-year-old Troy Alexandra Stro Staggs inside a plastic storage tote. Troy, a married mother of three from Forest City, Arkansas, had been brutally murdered and dumped on the side of the road. The discovery sent shockwaves through the local community and left Troy's family devastated. As details slowly emerged about the case, it became clear that this was no ordinary homicide. Troy's aunt, Eve Dillman, believes her niece was working as a confidential informant for law enforcement and was killed because of it. However, authorities have released limited information, leaving the family frustrated and desperate for answers. Several arrests have been made in connection with Troy's death. The first to be arrested was 45-year-old Micah Lacey, charged with first-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, and a felony weapons charge. Lacey had been a person of interest since February, but wasn't arrested until June. Next came the arrest of 41-year-old Corey Jerome Anderson, charged with abuse of a corpse. Most recently, 50-year-old Willie Smith was charged with tampering with evidence and possession of a firearm. Eve Dillman and Troy's family have been piecing together a timeline of events and gathering information from various sources. They believe Troy was killed because she was working as a confidential informant for law enforcement, specifically in relation to drug-related crimes. The family has obtained documents showing that a confidential informant with the number 2000207 was involved in controlled drug buys from Micah Lacey and others. They believe Troy was this informant. According to the family's timeline, several drug-related warrants were issued on January 3, 2024. Micah Lacey was arrested on February 2nd, went before a judge on February 5th, and was released on February 6th. Troy's body was found on February 20th, and the county sheriff stated on national TV that her body had been decomposed for about 2 weeks. This timeline seems to align with Lacey's release and Troy's disappearance. The family's frustration stems from what they perceive as a lack of transparency from law enforcement and prosecutors. They claim that all documents related to the case have been sealed, and they have been denied access to crucial information, including the autopsy report. Eve Dillman states that every time they call for updates, they are told it's an ongoing investigation, and no information can be shared. One of the most concerning aspects of the case, according to the family, is the potential connection between Micah Lacey and local officials. They claim that Lacey's mother is a quorum justice of the peace in the county, and his stepfather is a mayor. The family believes this connection may be influencing the handling of the case and the charges brought against Lacey. The family has been actively seeking justice for Troy. They started a Facebook page and a GoFundMe campaign to raise awareness and gather information. Through these efforts, they have received numerous tips and stories from people in the community. However, they have struggled to find legal representation, as many attorneys are reluctant to take on a case in St. Francis County or quote prohibitively high fees. Eve Dillman paints a picture of Troy as a kind-hearted person who was always willing to help others. The Forest City police chief described her as a friendly face who would often greet him cheerfully. Troy was reportedly trying to turn her life around and make positive changes before her untimely death. The investigation into Troy's murder has been complex and at times confusing. Multiple crime scenes are believed to be involved, and the family claims that authorities possess video evidence, possibly showing Troy before her death or a cleanup afterward. The family has been told that forensic evidence was collected from Lacey's home on multiple occasions. The case has raised questions about the protection of confidential informants and the potential risks they face. If Troy was indeed working as an informant, her family believes that law enforcement failed to protect her adequately. They point to the inclusion of the confidential informant number on court documents as a potential security breach that may have led to Troy's identification and ultimately her murder. The brutality of the crime has left the family and community shaken. While the exact details of Troy's injuries have not been publicly released, the family describes them as horrific and indicative of a massacre. The manner in which her body was disposed of, naked in a plastic storage tote left by the side of the road, suggests a chilling disregard for human life and a possible attempt to send a message. As the case progresses, the family continues to push for answers and justice. They are seeking to have the sealed records opened and to obtain a copy of the autopsy report. Their efforts to raise funds for legal representation continue, as they believe having an attorney will help them navigate the complexities of the case and serve as an intermediary between them and law enforcement. The next steps in the legal process remain uncertain. Hearings have been postponed, and the family reports that there have been discussions about consolidating charges against Michael Lacey. However, complications have arisen, including Lacey's reported need for hernia surgery and questions about which jurisdiction will be responsible for his medical care and housing. This case highlights several important issues within the criminal justice system. It raises questions about the protection of confidential informants, the transparency of investigations, the influence of local politics on legal proceedings, and the rights of victims' families to information about their loved ones' cases. The murder of Troy Alexandra Stro Staggs is more than just a local crime story. It touches on broader themes of justice, corruption, drug crime, and the complex relationships between law enforcement and the communities they serve. As the investigation continues and more details potentially come to light, it may provide insights into these larger issues. For now, Troy's family remains committed to uncovering the truth about her death and ensuring that all those responsible are held accountable. They continue to share Troy's story, hoping that increased attention will lead to more information and, ultimately, justice. The case also serves as a reminder of the human cost of drug-related crime and the dangers faced by those who become entangled in that world, whether as participants or as informants trying to make amends. Troy's story, that of a mother trying to turn her life around, resonates with many who have seen the impact of drugs on individuals and communities. As the investigation progresses, many questions remain unanswered. Were there more people involved in Troy's murder? Will additional arrests be made? What evidence do authorities have that hasn't been made public? And perhaps most importantly for Troy's family, will they ever get the full story of what happened to their loved one? The tragic death of Troy Alexandra Stro Staggs serves as a stark reminder of the complexities and dangers inherent in the world of drug crime and law enforcement. It highlights the need for transparency in criminal investigations, protection for those who assist law enforcement, and support for families seeking justice for their loved ones. As the case continues to unfold, it will likely spark further discussions about these important issues and potentially lead to changes in how similar cases are handled in the future.